I never imagined walking away would cost my family a $600K contract. Was it worth the sacrifice? I will never forget the day everything fell apart. My heart raced as I stood in the corner of that dimly lit room, the tension wrapping around me like a heavy, suffocating blanket. The air was thick with the scent of damp walls and stale coffee, as a deafening silence fell over the gathering. My family, my pride, all hanging on my next words. Just tell them, okay? My sister's voice trembled, pleading with me through her tear-filled eyes. She was the glue that held us together, and I could feel her pain. I wanted to console her, to tell her everything would be all right. But deep down I knew this wasn't going to end well. We were waiting on a $600,000 contract, a lifeline for our struggling family business. Dreams woven into every dollar. The stakes were high, but I was ready to walk away, to stand up for what was right, even if it meant losing everything. I remember my hands shaking, sweat dripping down my back as I fought the urge to falter. The whispers from the back of the room were cutting. Yes, throwing it all away, I heard someone say. Like daggers, those words pierced my chest. My heart sank. I had seen the light in my father's eyes fade over the months. My parents had sacrificed so much, and now it felt like I was going to drag them down into the abyss with me. The weight of my decision pressed down on me. My mind raced, conjuring thoughts of the late nights, the hopeful meetings and the dreams we had all shared, chasing a golden future. Suddenly, a sharp inhale swept through the crowd, causing my stomach to drop. Their faces were taut with disbelief. Was I really going to walk away? To say no to my family? My fingers curled into fists. I glanced at my father, his face shrouded in shadows, his weary shoulders slumped. It felt like I was standing at the edge of an unfathomable cliff, the ground crumbling beneath me. I wasn't just risking my future. I was possibly shattering my family's. I turned to face the panel across the table, the very people who held our dreams in their hands. Their eyes were cold, unreadable, like storm clouds brewing a tempest. The sudden thought struck me, we were at the mercy of their judgment. Would they sense my conviction? Or would they only see a foolish kid throwing away opportunity? Do you really believe walking away is worth it? One of them asked, eyebrow raised, voice dripping with skepticism. The question hung in the air like an open wound, echoing in my mind. Each beat of my heart felt like an avalanche, cascading through the silence. What if I was wrong? What if I lost everything? The fear squeezed my throat tight. I looked back at my family, and in that moment I felt exposed, raw. No turning back now. This was it. This was my truth. But even as I stood there in the spotlight, ready to make my declaration, a nagging thought crept in. What if I didn't fully understand the repercussions? What if I was walking away not just from the contract but from my family's future? Just then, loud footsteps echoed down the hall, snapping me back to reality. The door swung open and everyone turned. The figure that appeared was shrouded in mystery, a shadow from our past. With a chilling smile, they stepped into the room, and I couldn't shake the feeling that they held secrets about our business that could change everything. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The figure stepped closer, and I felt the room shift beneath me as if the very foundation of my resolve was threatened. There was something unnervingly familiar about them, a blend of nostalgia and dread. My heart clenched as the shadows of my past materialized before me. Alex, my childhood friend, who left under a cloud of misunderstanding and bitterness, stood before us now. Surprised to see me? Alex's voice sliced through the tension, a mixture of sarcasm and warmth. Why are you here? I managed to choke out, feeling my throat tighten with looming anxiety. You've made quite the decision, Alex said, glancing at the panel with a smirk. Walking away from a life-changing contract? That takes guts, or maybe it's just sheer foolishness. The words hung in the air, heavy with accusation, making it hard to draw breath. My family shifted uneasily as whispers danced around the room. I caught sight of my sister's ashen face, wishing to shield her from this revival of old demons. My father's gaze alternated between surprise and uncertainty. He was a man who despised conflict, but Alex always had a knack for igniting old flames. Enough, I finally said, my voice shaking but determined. You don't understand the situation. Maybe I don't, Alex replied, stepping forward. But I know you. You're not just throwing away our shared dreams, you're throwing away a lifeline. They gestured dramatically, their tone switching to one of mock sympathy. Your family must be thrilled to get a front-row seat to your self-righteousness. The panel glanced at each other, uncertainty flickering in their eyes about whether to further engage in this troubling exchange. I could feel the walls closing in. I had to get away from this, I had to refocus. But all I could do was stand grounded in place, feeling each heartbeat echoing louder as I battled my growing insecurities. I can't be part of something that compromises my values, I shot back, though I felt the weight of doubt creeping in. I wanted to be steadfast, to defend my choice, but each of Alex's jabs struck nearer to my heart. This isn't just a contract for us. It's about integrity, I added, though my conviction wavered in the hollow of my throat. Integrity, huh? That's a nice thought, Alex scoffed. But you know what integrity does? It leaves people broke. Or worse. You'll find that standing on principle often leaves you standing alone. I could see it then, even if the words were poisonous, they sparked something in me. I wasn't just wrapped up in the layers of guilt. I was terrified of facing a future filled with hardship if I insisted on holding to my beliefs. As I stood there, I realized Alex hadn't come just to criticize. There was an underlying desperation, a wish to pull me back into the fold. That I in the charged silence, an unexpected voice cut through the panel member closest to me, who had been watching closely. What do you want, Alex? He asked, his baritone voice calm but firm. You're here now, so speak your truth. Alex turned away from me, irritation painting their features. I want to help. You don't understand the risks. There are forces at play here that aren't visible from the outside. Like what? I probed, clenching my fists to suppress the swelling anxiety and rising anger. There are connections, insiders. You're making a mistake that could resurrect old wounds, Alex said, their expression softening momentarily. You may think you're protecting your family, but they're tied to truths that could devastate all your suddenly. The door creaked open once more, interrupting us. A woman stepped through, her presence electrifying the air. She was unfamiliar, but an instant recognition flickered. Something in her eyes sparked an inexplicable dread. Jamie, you need to listen, she said, drawing every eye to her. There's something you don't know. And then the world felt like it had slipped from beneath my feet. How could more secrets emerge at this crucial moment when I was barely holding on? The weight of past and present collided, spinning my mind into turmoil. What is it? I dared to ask, the room taut with suspense. My pulse quickened, hope and fear battling for control within me. About the contract. About your family, she hesitated, the words dangling on the precipice of revelation. I took a step forward, ready or perhaps desperate for her answer. Then, as if sensing my vulnerability, she paused. You deserve to know the truth. But are you ready for it? In that moment, standing on the brink between denial and exposure, I felt my heart race with a mixture of anticipation and dread. I wanted answers. I wanted hope. But as the shadows loomed larger, I couldn't shake the nagging sensation that the truth could turn out to be more than I was prepared to bear. The silence that enveloped the room felt thick, like a heavy fog, bringing with it the weight of impending change. My heart thundered in my chest, and for a moment, all thoughts of Alex's accusations faded into the background as the stranger's words wrapped around me. My family may have been watching with bated breath, but all I could focus on was the promise of revelation that hung in the air like a fragile bubble, ready to burst. Are you ready for it? She repeated, her eyes piercing through me with an intensity that felt almost otherworldly. Was I? How could I possibly be ready for what lay beneath? Yet something deep within me insisted I needed to know, craved the truth despite its potential devastation. I need to know, I whispered, my voice trembling as I attempted to summon the courage to face the storm looming just out of sight. The woman nodded slowly, a hint of sympathy breaking through her initial stoicism. Your family isn't what you think they are, Jamie. That contract, the one you've turned away from, it's not just a simple business deal. It's tied to history, the kind of history your family hoped to bury. A chill skittered down my spine at her revelation, a feeling of dread overtaking any flickers of hope. I thought I understood my family, that I had some semblance of grasp on their past. But this twisted narrative felt like a rug pulled out from under me, exposing the raw ground beneath where my beliefs had once stood firm. History. My voice broke slightly. What do you mean? Family ties can be burdensome, Jamie. They come with secrets, and those secrets can have a way of resurfacing when you least expect them. The contract is tied to compromises made long ago to protect your family. Walking away could mean dragging those hidden dangers into the light. Her words danced around my consciousness like a storm, and I could feel the air tightening around me. With each sentence, I felt a deluge of old fears creeping back. Alex had warned me. My family was looking to preserve something much larger than just a contract. But what could it possibly be? The anguish in my chest twisted tighter, a vice slowly crushing my resolve. How do you know this? I asked, a desperate attempt to anchor myself amidst the rising tide of vulnerability. Let us just say I've uncovered things that don't add up, she replied, her voice lower as if we were sharing in a sacred mistrust. I have ties to those in power, and I'm not the only one who knows the history of your family. You need to understand, they will come for you if you continue down this path. What do you want from me? I pressed, wrestling my panic. Hope felt like a fragile ask amidst the looming shadows of a truth I dared not touch. I just want you to realize the risks you're taking for your principles. Sometimes the fight is within ourselves, Jamie. But also, sometimes there's a bigger game at play. I can help you navigate this, but it will require sacrifices, she explained, her voice laden with the weight of both caution and terror at trade-offs. Sacrifices? My heart sank at the implication. Would walking away cost me more than I had thought? The strain of fragility began to press against my chest, tightening around my resolve. Suddenly, Alex stepped closer, breaking my spiraling thoughts. You need to think clearly, Jamie. What she's implying could shatter everything, they said, their tone almost pleading. Don't let your family or anyone else dictate your fate. This is your decision, yours and yours alone. You can still take control. Control. The very essence of what I felt slipping away. I looked from Alex to the mysterious woman, each of them holding sides of a battle I had not realized was brewing. One was a harbinger of past sorrows, the other an echo of caution wrapped in uncertainty. Both were unknowingly urging me forward while highlighting the darkest fears resting in my heart. But before I could respond, my father's voice cut through the tension. What are you saying? What has Jamie missed? His concern for me brought a flicker of warmth in the chill of uncertainty, yet it burned hot with desperation as he sidestepped closer. For a fleeting moment, I saw the vulnerability in his eyes, the fear of losing his child to secrets that ran deeper than we had ever known. What do we need to do to protect our family? He asked, resolve blending with panic. Your family needs to stand together, but first Jamie must make her choice, the woman replied, her gaze shifting between us. Whatever truth my presence brings, it's only yours to decide. I felt the room inhaling the tension, each heartbeat resonating in my ears. As I looked into my father's weary eyes, realization washed over me. Choosing to walk away had ignited forces beyond our understanding. I needed to protect him, to shield my family from whatever repercussions were about to arise. Before I could collect my thoughts, a commotion erupted outside the door. The sound of raised voices and hurried footsteps carried through the air, growing closer, heavy with a sense of urgency. I exchanged apprehensive glances with my family, the burgeoning fear in my stomach clenched tighter. What new challenges awaited on the threshold? I could feel the world teetering on the edge of uncertainty, and just as I caught my breath, the door flew open. Two figures stood silhouetted in the light, a man and a woman, both with familiar faces I had not expected to see, threading together knots of connections I had never imagined could intertwine with my family. Jamie, the man called out, voice steady but urgent. We need to talk. Now. In that frantic moment, the truth I had yearned for pulled me closer to a precipice I never wanted to face. And somewhere amidst that chaos, an unsettling realization sunk in. I wasn't the only one who had secrets. The stakes were climbing higher, and as I stood frozen in shock, the fragile trust in everything I had believed began to crack. The air in the room grew electric, the tension sharpening every nerve in my body as the figures at the door cast long shadows over the small gathering. My mind raced, grappling with the realization that more secrets awaited. Layers upon layers of hidden truths. The man and woman exchanged glances, a shared understanding simmering just beneath their surface, as if they carried responsibility for burdens too heavy to disclose fully. "Please, Jamie," the woman urged, her eyes scanning the room, almost pleading for understanding or an invitation. "We know about the contract. It's worse than you think." "Worse?" My voice trembled with disbelief as I instinctively took a step back, seeking the comfort of familiarity in the unknown chaos. Wasn't ignorance, despite its terrifying nature, a refuge sometimes? "Your family has made choices that could endanger not only themselves but countless others." The man's voice was rich with sincerity, yet it brimmed with urgency. I could sense a deep wound beneath his stoic exterior, a price paid long ago that perhaps echoed through our generations. My father took an instinctive step forward, a protective instinct igniting in his gaze. "What do you know?" he asked, his voice low yet demanding. I felt the tension sparking between them, a silent flash of old animosities bubbling beneath the surface. The woman gently placed her hand on my father's arm, a gesture that seemed contradictory to the tension in the room. "We don't want to expose Jamie to a reality she isn't prepared for. But she needs to understand the breadth of this situation. You all do. Whatever you've come here to reveal," Alex interjected, stepping beside me, "it needs to be framed in truth, not fear. The contract isn't everything. There must be a way out that preserves Jamie's choice without risking everything her family is trying to protect. That's where you're wrong and why it's imperative we speak." The man pressed on, an edge creeping into his tone. "The truth about the contract carries consequences that could cost lives if not handled delicately. Lives you know and love." A dark knot twisted in my stomach, the implications swelling as I recalled fragmented conversations shared in hushed tones, shadows dancing in corners. I felt the weight of every heartbeat in that room, the darkness expanding and threatening to consume the light of the understanding we had fought so hard to maintain. "What are you saying?" I breathed, the question hanging in the air like the tension before a storm. What secrecy could justify all this? The man exchanged a heavy glance with the woman before continuing. "There are forces in play you cannot fathom, ones that would do anything to silence the truth. Your family's decision to circumvent those roots comes with repercussions, working toward a future that may well be tainted by their own past." A shiver swept through me, drawing a fragile barrier around my heart as I recognized the truth brimming in their words. As if the walls of my childhood were constructed over a foundation of deceit, hidden agendas waiting beneath the surface like predators in a lake's dark waters. "We're not trying to stir fear. We only want to protect you, but knowledge is power, Jamie. You need to understand everything," the woman insisted gently. "Will you listen?" "Yes," I replied, though it came out as a whisper, the truth wrapping around me like a forgotten embrace. "I want to understand." An uneasy silence enveloped the room as the man stepped further inside, the door swinging closed behind him with a finality that echoed the gravity of our new reality. "Your great-grandfather struck an agreement, a pact to safeguard a deeply buried secret. That contract allows your family to maintain certain privileges. Walk away, and those privileges dissolve, leaving you exposed. But that's the price we choose, isn't it?" I argued weakly, desperately grasping for hope. "To be free of them? Freedom is a double-edged sword," he replied, his eyes heavy with a sorrow that matched the intensity of the storm brewing within me. "What you yearn for could also unleash shadows long confined, Jamie. Past sins do not vanish, they linger like ghosts waiting to haunt those who dare to forget." "No." I shook my head, the whirlwind of conflicting emotions tumbling around me, challenging my resolve. The prospect of revisiting family history filled me with dread. Yet the potential for betrayal felt almost heavier. As voices muffled from the corridors grew louder, I could no longer deny the urgency in the air, the claustrophobic feeling of choices constricting like a vice tightened around my heart. Just as I felt ready to confront this overwhelming truth, the door crashed open once more. "Shut it down." A voice penetrated the room, filled with fierce authority. Several unfamiliar faces stormed in, expressions of frustration and terror reflected across their features. Alex's hand gripped my arm, pulling me closer as the two newcomers, their clothing sharp and businesslike, cut through the tension with an unexpected chill. "We have to act now," one of them shouted, eyes darting towards the shadows of my family. There's no time to lose. What is happening? My mind spiraled as everything I thought I understood began to unravel into chaos. Coupled with the weight of new revelations, a dizzying confluence of fears threatened to drown me. It was as if a dam had burst, years of secrets illuminating a path of trepidation I wasn't yet ready to traverse. Jamie, trust us, there's no time. The man insisted, panic clawing at his voice. I felt the ground shifting beneath me, my feet momentarily frozen in disbelief as I tried to absorb the magnitude of the instant upheaval. In that moment, I recognized the cost of my family's sacrifices stretching out before me, a chasm ready to swallow us if I wasn't careful. And amidst the chaos, as voices rose higher and the storm continued to swell, a single realization kept echoing in my mind. This was only the beginning of a path fraught with shadows of those who dared to threaten my future, while dragging my family's past into the light. The din of urgency echoed in the small room as confusion reigned, every face reflecting a different shade of dread. My heart raced, caught in a vice grip of fear and uncertainty, while the two newcomers radiated an intensity that sent ripples of foreboding through the air. Jamie, we don't have much time, one of the strangers insisted, his voice rising above the din. You need to come with us. They can't find you here. My mind struggled to catch up with the surge of calamity unfurling around me. Who are you? I gasped, gripping Alex's arm tighter as if he could anchor me in the tumult of impending decisions. I know this is hard to process, said the woman with an urgent calm, breaking through the rising tide of panic. But we're on your side. The ones you thought were protecting you, your family, are at the center of something far more dangerous than you realize. Stop, I cried, feeling the weight of betrayal hanging in the air. I could see my father's face contort in confusion, and I worried that each passing moment was widening the chasm between us. I need to understand what's going on first. Understanding could cost you everything. A new voice murmured from the shadows of the doorway, revealing another figure cloaked in seriousness. I recoiled as the unmistakable features locked onto me, one of my father's longtime associates, someone I had known my entire life. You need to listen to them, Jamie. They are telling you the truth. You're at risk. But at what cost? I stammered, searching for clarity as my heart pounded against my chest. The walls of my childhood home felt like they were closing in, the whispers of memories and laughter now tainted by fear. What do we have to give up to escape? The man next to the newcomer shuffled forward, urgency etched on his face. It's the contract, Jamie. It binds you to more than just your family's legacy, it ties you to the past's secrets and its shadows. You have the chance to break free, but not without repercussions. I glanced at my father, whose expression had grown steely, yet behind his stoicism, I could see the fragility of a man attempting to shield his family from repercussions he never planned for us to face. Dad, is this true? The question hung heavy, my voice trembling, seeking an affirmation, a denial, something. Jamie, he began, but the words faltered, unraveling in the gravity of the moment. In that silence, the storm inside me brewed fiercer, as I realized how foundations built on secrets could topple any sense of security. What are we facing? Alex asked, stepping closer, defying the emotional freezing that had settled around us. His presence steadied me, grounding my spiraling thoughts. The truth is ugly, the woman said, her voice low but firm. There are entities collecting debts. Your family's past is a currency they intend to collect on. If you remain, whatever lies ahead could threaten your very existence. My thoughts screamed against the harsh reality. The enormity of what was unfolding felt like a weight too great to bear. The illusion of safety within my family home shattered, revealing the raw nerves of survival and sacrifice. Then we leave, I declared suddenly, a sense of determination sparking through the chaos. Was running truly the answer? Was abandoning what was familiar worth the cost? But with every passing second, the urgency twisted within me, warning of worse things to come. Not yet, the man interjected, fierce and relentless. They know you're here, and if you leave now, you'll put everyone in danger. We need to prepare to find a safe place before making any rash moves. Prepare? I nearly laughed, both incredulous and incredulous at once. How could we possibly be prepared for all this? The old clock on the wall ticked down the remaining seconds, serving as a grim reminder of the urgency that had replaced the mundane moments of my life. Each tick echoed like a heartbeat, while the shadows outside continued to murmur of unseen forces lurking, tinged with malevolence. Suddenly, without warning, a loud crash came from the opposite side of the room. The wood splintered as a figure charged through the now fractured door. Eyes wild and desperate. "They're here!" he shouted, voice hoarse with panic. The atmosphere shifted, cold, stifling, the kind of fear that constricts breath. "We need to go now," the newcomer insisted as the man's hand stretched out, intercepting the pursuer. The room erupted into chaos. "Back away!" My father's voice rang out, slicing through the chaos as he stood protectively in front of me, blocking my view of the doorway. It was a moment suspended in time, one where every heartbeat weighed heavy with the uncertainty of choices lingering just out of reach. The air crackled with the potential for ruin, and I felt the last tethers of my controlled life stretching to the breaking point. Just as light began to fade from the room, illuminated by the panic surrounding us, I heard a voice whisper in the corner of my mind, "To break free, sacrifices must be made." And in that desperate definition of freedom, I could feel the weight of my family's burdens pressing down on me in a way I had never anticipated. In a world where escaping the shadows meant risking everything, who would stand with me, and what would be left standing when the dust settled? Just as I desperately searched for a way to navigate the darkness, the walls around me began to crumble, revealing a truth darker than I could ever have anticipated. As the chaos erupted around me, the crashing of the door still echoed in my ears, a haunting symphony of desperation that pulled at my heart. Each frantic breath felt as if it could be my last, and while fear gripped me tightly, it also ignited an ember of defiance deep within. I refused to be a passive victim of this unfolding nightmare. "Dad, we can't stay," I pleaded, my voice cracking as a wave of realization washed over me. "If they're here, we have to move now." Panic surged through my veins, stronger than the fear that had consumed me moments ago. "Jamie, please listen to me," his voice faltered, but a steely resolve shone in his eyes. "I need to protect you, and right now this chaos is our chance to find a way out. Follow them." His hand extended toward the two newcomers, urging me with a subtle tilt of his head. The weight of his gaze felt unbearable. Did he truly believe I could abandon everything, every moment that had shaped who I was? Every laugh shared, every tear shed? But with the very lives of my loved ones hanging in the balance, I pushed those thoughts aside. "Now," the woman shouted, her voice spurred by urgency, and for a split second, I saw the flicker of hesitation in my father's eyes. But there was no time to linger. I turned, grasping Alex's hand as we followed the frantic duo toward the corridor. As we darted past rooms that suddenly felt alien, the small moments of serenity they once held felt tainted by the urgency of our flight. My childhood bedroom flitted by like a ghost, reminding me that this sanctuary had become a prison, its walls no longer safe. We emerged into the relentless darkness outside, where shadows clung tightly to the ground. The air was cold on my skin, sending shivers racing down my spine. But even among the fear, I sensed unexpected warmth and inexplicable tether to hope. The strangers moved like dancers in the night, pulling us into their urgent choreography. "Stick close," the man instructed, glancing back as the muffled sounds of commotion escalated within my home. The fear on their faces wasn't just for us, it was palpable, a shared understanding of the dangers lurking behind us. Just as we reached the edge of the property, where lights from neighboring houses painted a mix of comfort and danger, another figure erupted from the shadows, a friend from high school, her face pale but resolute. "Jamie," she called, urgency amplifying her voice, echoing the essence of our predicament. I was momentarily stunned. To see a familiar face amidst this turmoil was a thread of hope woven into the darkness. "There's no time. You have to come with me," she urged, glancing furtively at the shadows closing in behind me. I hesitated, torn between the echoes of my past and the looming specter of my uncertain future. "What about my parents?" I asked, guilt bubbling in my chest. "They'll be safe. Promise." "They're already moving," she said, desperation lacing her words. Her eyes searched mine for understanding, for agreement. We had been through countless ups and downs in high school, laughter and heartbreak, but this was different. She beckoned me, reminding me of a simplicity I longed for. In that moment I saw the girl who had shared ice cream cones and secrets, her courage igniting something inside me. "Please, Jamie. If you stay, you won't just lose your chance. You'll lose everything." I felt the weight of her words, a haunting echo in the marrow of my bones. I turned to Alex, our eyes meeting with a shared understanding of the gravity of our plight. He hesitated, waiting for my lead. "Okay," I whispered, my voice quivering with conviction as I nodded. I could feel the heat of tears starting to pool at the edges of my eyes, the enormity of our choices crashing down upon me. "Let us go." As we moved forward, propelled by urgency fueled by an unquenchable need to survive and protect what mattered, a sobering realization sank in. Every moment from here on out would be an act of sacrifice. I glanced back toward the silhouette of my house, feeling the ache of untreated wounds in my heart, and whispered a silent goodbye to the life I had known. But just then, a sharp crack echoed through the night, a sound that cut through the fragile thread of hope we clung to. Time slowed as I turned to Alex, whose eyes widened in horror. We skidded to a halt, confusion and dread intertwining. A second shadow materialized, a figure cloaked in the very darkness that had haunted my mind since the moment I learned of the contract. With every instinct screaming at me to run, the wind shifted, bringing with it an unmistakable weight, a familiarity I had hoped never to encounter again. "Jamie," the voice sliced through the night like a blade, sending a new wave of dread crashing over me. It was a voice laced with malice, with secrets and betrayal hanging on every syllable. "You really thought you could escape? We're just getting started." The chilling realization engulfed me like a suffocating fog. My family's past was not the only one threatening to consume us. And with that, the shadows finally took form, illuminating the truth that I never imagined would lay in wait. Running was only the beginning, and the cost of walking away was far more than I could have ever anticipated. The cold air felt sharper now, as if it were cutting into every inch of my exposed skin. My heart raced, a wild drum echoing in my ears as the figure stepped further into the thin veil of darkness, revealing a face I had tried to forget. Mark, the harbinger of my family's troubles, the shadow lurking in our past. "Why are you here?" My voice wavered, a mix of defiance and desperation, but there was no trace of the boy I once knew in the look he gave me. Instead, there was something colder, a ruthlessness that made nausea twist in my stomach. "Did you really think you could leave all this behind? You're not just any girl, Jamie. You're the key." The smirk on his lips sent shivers down my spine, each word a reminder of the tangled web that bound our families. Before I could respond, the air filled with an unbearable tension. Alex squeezed my hand tighter, his eyes darting between me and Mark, frantically searching for a way out. I searched for a response, words clambering in my mind like caged animals, but before I could summon them, Mark's expression shifted, more determined now. "Your father thinks he is protecting you, but the truth is his choices have set us all on this path. You have a role in this, Jamie, one that you cannot escape." He stepped closer, and the familiar urgency of despair tangled with the raw fear coursing through me. "No, I want to be a part of this." My voice was stronger now, a spark ignited by the very anger I thought I'd lost in the depths of my pain. "I refuse to accept that my life is defined by your decisions. I'm not my father." "Are you sure about that?" His tone shifted, eerily calm in the chaos. The way he spoke felt like a noose tightening around my throat. "They'll come for you, Jamie. They know what you are, who you belong to. And when they do, you'll see just how deeply rooted this is." "But it doesn't have to be," Alex interjected, the fire in him glaring like a beacon against the shadows. "You can leave us alone, Mark. We're not afraid of you or your family's twisted legacy." Mark laughed, a chilling sound that echoed off the walls of the night. "You think courage will protect you? You think saying you're done can make it so? You're too deep in this now. Too important." As I stood there, alive with defiance yet feeling more trapped than ever, I caught a glimpse of movement behind Mark, another shadow emerging, this one distinctly feminine. I recognized her immediately. Sarah, another friend from high school snagged in our twisted reality. "Jamie," she called out, her breath coming in frantic gasps as she pushed her way to the front of the scene. "They're coming. No time to waste." Mark shot her a look filled with venom. "And who's going to save you, Sarah? You think you matter? You've always been just a footnote in Jamie's story." "Shut up," I cried, feeling the warmth of my friend's presence grounding me as I tore my gaze from Mark's piercing eyes. "We're not his pawns." The ground beneath us felt unstable, as if it could crumble to dust at any moment, mirroring the fragile alliances we had fought for. I felt Alex's hand stealing around mine, his determination a steady pulse against the wild chaos enveloping us. Jamie. Sarah's voice was urgent, the fear in her eyes pulling me back to her. We have to go. If they catch us here. Just then we heard it. A sound like thunder rumbling in the distance, footsteps pounding against the ground, a chorus of chaos reaching us from the direction of my home. Shadows shifted behind Mark, a web of dark figures closing in upon us. With every ounce of strength, I knew we had to make a choice, but not just a choice to run. It was time to reclaim my voice and fight back. Run, I shouted, the order spilling out like fire. Run! We can't let his darkness take us. In a split-second decision, we bolted as the world behind us collapsed into a haze of shrill sounds and furious shadows chasing the light. My heart pounded fiercely as we sprinted into the night, a world unfolding around me. Yet I couldn't shake the reality of Mark's words echoing in my mind. We were not free. Still I clung to the tiny ember of hope that maybe, just maybe, our friendship, the bonds we had forged through laughter and tears, might be the key to turning the tide. As we dashed through the labyrinth of trees lining the edge of my property, adrenaline surged within me, each beat of my heart driving me forward, and then, just as we were beginning to distance ourselves from the chaos, Sarah's leg caught on a root hidden beneath the leaves and she fell hard. A sickening thud resonated and time froze. Keep going, she yelled, gripping her ankle, pain flashing across her face. No, we can't leave her. Alex's voice was frantic, but the dread from my own heart was like a stone in my chest. I turned to Mark, who stood there with an unsettling satisfaction, lurking like a specter. This is just the beginning, Jamie, he taunted, his presence wrapping around me like barbed wire. What will you sacrifice to protect the ones you love? With every instinct screaming at me to go, I found myself moving toward Sarah instead, desperate to protect the friendships that anchored my heart. In that moment we were all bound by choices that could alter everything, and I knew the battle was far from over. The costs would only rise. But as I reached for Sarah, an explosion of movement behind me announced that we were not the only ones resisting the dark tide, and with that realization, dread mingled with an improbable sense of hope, because every struggle in the shadows bore the promise of light, a possibility that the truest strength lay not only in survival, but in unbreakable connections forged in fidelity. But now, left with Sarah crumpling on the forest floor, the question was whether I was strong enough to face the heavy price lurking beneath the surface. The weight of Sarah's pain anchored me as I knelt beside her, every heartbeat a reminder of the urgency pressing down upon us. Are you okay? I whispered, my voice trembling. She winced, shaking her head, the tears glistening in her eyes betraying her bravery. What are we going to do, Jamie? She breathed, her breath heavy with dread. We can't stay here. They'll find us. You heard what Mark said, I won't leave you. I promised through gritted teeth, each word a fragile vow woven with the thread of desperation. Alex, help me get her up. We maneuvered to hoist her, but as I did, the shadows felt closer, a suffocating presence nullifying any hint of safety. The distant sounds of pursuit sent chills racing down my spine. Mark's laughter lingered in the air like an ominous storm cloud. Just a little further, Alex urged, his resolve brightening the gloom. Every second felt like an eternity as we stumbled through the underbrush, Sarah's breaths quickening with every jolt. Then suddenly, a voice broke through the cacophony. Jamie, over here. It was a call I recognized immediately. Ryan, my older brother. Relief crashed into me like a wave, but something in Ryan's tone struck a chord of fear. It was frantic, desperate. Jamie, we need to go, he yelled, rushing towards us. There was no time for pleasantries, no time to ask how he had found us or why everything he wore seemed to scream panic. Ryan, she's hurt, I said, panic clawing at the edges of my voice. We can't just leave her. Trust me, he replied sharply, scanning the darkness behind him with wide eyes. If they get here before we do, there won't be a choice left. We need to move now. Reluctantly, I nodded, recognizing the truth in his words. Though nothing fostered deeper loyalties than friendship, some separations were inevitable if we wanted any hope of survival. As we began to shuffle forward, Sarah grasped my arm, her grip weak but resolute. I won't hold you back, Jamie. I never wanted to be a burden. Listen to me, I said, my heart racing as I moved closer, urgency threading my tone. You are not a burden. Not now, not ever. Ryan helped lift her from the ground, and we made a shuffling line through the maze of trees, the shadows closing in behind us like a relentless tide. But every footfall echoed deeper uncertainty, reverberating inside me. Mark's taunts haunted me like ghostly whispers, and I felt the burden of our families entwined, tightening around my throat. Would we ever truly sever those ties? Or were we simply dancing around a fire that would consume us all? Then, through the thick branches ahead, I noticed a faint glow of flickering light that beckoned, illuminating the path ahead. The urgency transformed into hope. It twisted and turned around us like a protective cloak. "Over there!" I shouted, my heart leaping as I moved toward the glow, its warmth wrapping around me. But just as we broke free from the prison of trees, my stomach dropped. What lay before us wasn't just any light, it was an old cabin, its wooden frame kneeling under the weight of years, shadows dancing across its weathered exterior. Alex's shoulders slumped as he pulled me back. "We don't know who's inside, Jamie. Could be a trap. We have to take the risk," I urged. "It might be our only sanctuary." We moved cautiously toward the cabin, every hearing and sense heightened, the darkness closing in around us. The door creaked slightly, revealing a room filled with old belongings, dusty furniture, forgotten stories. "Hello?" I called into the silence, my voice echoing against the musty walls. There was no reply, only the whisper of the wind weaving through the cracks. "Check for weapons," Ryan instructed. His tone was authoritative, the weight of an eldest brother stepping in when chaos demanded it. As I rifled through drawers and creaked open old cabinets, hope flickered with every potential discovery. But as I searched, my fingers brushed against something hidden, a small rusted box tucked in the back of a rickety drawer. Something about it felt important, like the weight of it tugged at the fabric of fate itself. Alex glanced at me. "What did you find?" "I'm not sure," I replied, my fingers trembling as I pried it open. Inside lay a collection of faded letters, their edges tattered with time. I could barely make out the words, names that stirred something in my heart, connections that felt painfully familiar but coated in dust. "Jamie, let us focus. We need to think about Sarah." Before I could respond, a cacophony of violent noise erupted outside, heavy footsteps tramping closer, shouts piercing the night like arrows. "Hide!" Ryan hissed, tossing Sarah and me toward the underbelly of the old table. My heart thudded violently as I shoved the letters into my pocket, feeling the weight of history mingling with urgency. Did they hold secrets that could change everything? Did I dare read them now? As we crouched in the silence, I felt the air grow heavy, an ending waiting to unfold. And just when I thought we had maybe found a glimmer of safety, the door to the cabin burst open. The light flooded in, throwing shapes against the walls, silhouettes poised to drag us into the darkness again. All that pulsed inside me was terror, but also an unwillingness to let go. And then from the shadows, a voice I never expected to hear called out, cutting through the tension like a knife. "Jamie, it's me." The world tilted on its axis. The figure stepped into the light, and my heart simultaneously soared and shattered as I was met with a face I thought I'd never see again, a family member I thought lost to the past, someone intertwined in my heart's deepest narrative. "Evan." My breath caught in my throat, the shock of Evan's presence creating a whirlwind of emotions that rushed over me, tangled with confusion and elation. His eyes, wide with recognition and concern, mirrored the questions swirling within me. How could he be here? Was this safer ground or a deeper entanglement in chaos? "Evan," I gasped, my heart hammering as I crawled forward, instinctively pushing past the fear that kept me hidden beneath the table. "How did you find us? What are you doing here?" "I'll explain later," he replied breathlessly, urgency choking his words. "Right now we need to move. They're close. I've been tracking them for weeks, and I thought it doesn't matter now." Ryan cut him off, his protective instincts kicking in. "We need to get out of here before they find us. You know the woods, Evan. Lead the way." As disdainful as Ryan's tone was, I couldn't dismiss the flicker of light and warmth Evan brought into the room with him. He may have fallen out of our lives, but the bond of blood tugged insistently at my heart, urging me to embrace the hope that came with his return. With Evan leading the way, we slipped into the shadows, pressing ourselves against the cabin's wooden walls. The palpable tension crackled in the air. Each noise amplified, a branch snapping underfoot, whispers threading through the wind. Yet, even amidst the encroaching anxiety, I couldn't resist stealing glances at Evan, noting the nuances of his face that time hadn't eroded. The same boyish charm, the same light in his eyes, yet cloaked in something far heavier, a shadow of loss that hinted at trials only he could know. "How did you make it this far?" I murmured as we moved quietly, slipping through the darkness like ghosts on a moonless night. "There's a lot on the line," he replied, his voice steady yet filled with unspoken weight. "After everything that happened, I had to find you." But before I could question further, the voices outside raised in volume, raw anger laced with threats echoing against the trees. My heart sank, visceral fear clawing at my insides. These were the same echoes that had haunted us, returning to terrorize our solitude, and now, they were closing in. "Shit," I heard Ryan curse under his breath. "We've got to go. Move." As we rushed into the thick underbrush, I stumbled slightly, fear tightening its grip. I reached out to grab a branch for support, but my hand fell on something cold and metallic in the dirt. I froze, my heart racing as I recognized the shape. A firearm. Evan turned at my silence, and seeing my eyes locked on the weapon, he quickly bent down, grabbing it. "You shouldn't have this," he whispered, urgency mingled with concern coloring his tone. "It's not worth it." But as I watched him consider it, his expression torn between pragmatism and pathos, a new realization struck. It wasn't about me or survival alone. Pieces of our family's legacy throbbed through this object, tangled in regret and despair. You couldn't walk away from the weight of sacrifice without carrying its burden with you. "Evan, we need to keep moving," I urged, scanning the shadows for signs of life. "If Mark is out there suddenly," the distinct crunch of footsteps echoed from the cabin, sending prickles of panic racing down my spine. My instincts screamed for us to hurry, but a sense of duty pulled me back toward their open door, glimmering with secrets just beyond my understanding. "Please listen," I insisted. "There's something in the cabin, letters from our past. I think they could change everything." "Not now," Ryan hissed, his expression taut with frustration. "We can't risk it. These letters aren't worth your lives." But Evan held my gaze, a silent communication sparking between us. Perhaps those letters had been calling to him, too, weaving through the fabric of our shared history, the looming danger momentarily forgotten. "Just this once," he pressed, stepping back toward the cabin despite the impending doom. "Let us see what they hold." Just as we turned to dart back, the door creaked further open, revealing a silhouette haloed in moonlight. I felt my breath catch again, a shock transmitting through my bones. "It's too late." The voice was all too familiar, dripping with malice. Mark stepped into view, flanked by men who looked like shadows of their former lives, grinning predatorily. "Guess you really thought you could escape." My heart thundered in my chest, the floodgates of vulnerability cracked wide, and I could feel desperation clawing its way out. "Let my family go, Mark," I demanded, voice raw but firm. "You don't have to do this. We can work something out." "And what makes you think I want to?" He laughed, a cold, chilling sound. "You're just pawns in a game the rest of the world doesn't even see. You think family ties will save you? I know your history, Jamie. It won't save you from what's coming." Each word sank deeper into my spirit, amplifying the deep-rooted conflict inside me, the feeling of being trapped between the ties of blood and the desire for freedom. In that moment, amidst the looming threat, I realized that what I sought to protect was also my greatest vulnerability, and before I could utter another word, something flickered in the shadows behind Mark, another figure stepping into the light. A head of familiar dark hair. A face I didn't want to believe could be here. My heart froze once more. "Evan, watch out!" I screamed just as the heavy thump of approaching footsteps echoed behind us, slicing through the stillness with ruthless intent, and in an instant, faces I recognized mixed with chaos, the world merging into a place too dark to navigate, and I felt time expand and contract. All I could do was cling to the threads that bound us, the choices we faced swaying precariously on the edge of our decisions. And just like that, the battlefield was set, one where the echoes of our past intertwined with the dangers of our present. The future lay ahead, uncertain, intimidating, yet brimming with the possibility that perhaps, just perhaps, we could conjure a way through the fires that awaited us. The storm raging outside echoed the tempest within me as I crouched low beside Sarah, Ryan, and Evan. The dilapidated cabin, once a symbol of refuge, now trembled under the weight of our impending doom. Mark's sinister laughter reverberated off the walls, a mocking reminder of the chains binding me to my family's unresolved past. The shadows flickered around us, drawing closer with every thump of approaching footsteps. Whispers of unresolved legacies lingered in the air, and I could feel the weight of our choices pressing against my heart like a relentless tide. "Listen," Evan urged, urgency lacing his voice. "We can't let Mark have his way. We need to use what we found in the cabin." Clutching the fragile letters that held the scars and secrets of our past, I felt a surge of unbidden hope. Perhaps they could illuminate the truth hidden in our family's history, a truth that might bind our fates together instead of tearing us apart. Just then, Mark stepped further into the dim light, flanked by his men, and every instinct screamed at me to retreat. But as Mark's gaze landed on me, a flicker of recognition crossed his features. "Jamie," he sneered. "The prodigal daughter returns. How noble of you to bring your little entourage into the fray. Do you know what you're truly stepping into?" "I don't care about your games, Mark," I shot back, my voice steadier than I felt. "You don't own me. Not my family, not my choices. If you think I'll stand by and let you dictate our fate, you are sorely mistaken." Evan's presence beside me anchored my courage, and I could see the edge of determination in Ryan's stance. A promise of unity forged through adversity. The letters trembled in my pocket as if recalling voices from the past, and an idea sparked within me. "We may not all know the truth, but it's time to expose the lies." Mark's smirk faltered for a brief moment, but he quickly composed himself. "Courage won't help you in this game, little girl. You think digging into the past will set you free? Those letters hold secrets that could obliterate you. What if their unearthing holds the key to breaking free?" I countered. "You underestimate the power of truth. We're not afraid of your darkness anymore." A wave of uncertainty swept through the men surrounding him, yet Mark remained unyielding. "You think you're in control?" he taunted, the cool indifference dripping from his words. "Look around you. You're just pawns playing against skilled forces." He motioned to the figures lurking outside the cabin, their faces mere shadows in the darkness. "Do you even know what they are capable of?" The challenge reverberated in the air, and I felt the affinity of my family's legacy pulsating around me, an invisible tether linking us all together. The room felt smaller as I gazed into Mark's eyes, the weight of our history distorting our fates. Every heartbeat resonated with the urgency of our country's plight against hidden enemies that sought to claim our destinies. "Maybe you're right," I admitted, my voice low but resolute. "Maybe there are forces at play, ones we've never fully understood. But we are not powerless. Not anymore." I turned to my friends, their faces a beacon of loyalty. "We can break free not just for ourselves, but for everyone bound by the darkness of our family's choices. Let us turn the shadows into light." "Enough," Mark roared, frustration cutting through his facade. His eyes narrowed. He motioned to his men, who stepped forward, their intent clear. I anticipated fear surging through me like a tidal wave, yet I felt a profound stillness, as if by standing firm, I had unraveled a new path built on hope. If this was a battle for control, I would fight with everything I had, even if it meant risking it all. That in that moment, a jolt of clarity coursed through me, igniting spark after spark of determination. We faced this together as proud descendants of our families, ready to overcome the burdens we've carried for far too long. Evan nodded, his expression fierce. "And if you think history can be used against us, just remember that every letter, every secret we reclaim is a chance to shape our own destiny." Our shared resolve solidified into a force I felt at my core, melding our past, present, and future into a powerful weapon against the oppressors who had long held us hostage. Mark's grip faltered. The shadows quaked at the edges of our courage, and I stepped forward, the fabric of our journey woven into the fabric of our voices. "Let us finish this," I declared, reaching for Evan and Ryan's hands, and feeling Sarah's support through the storm wells of chaos around us. Together, we would confront the shadows that loomed together. We would unveil the truths lying dormant within the depths of our legacies. The impending storm of our past melded seamlessly with the strength we had found in unity. I recalled the letters, fragile pieces of paper whispering secrets from countless lives before ours. As the darkness pressed closer, I shifted my stance, heart racing fiercely, a newfound courage blazing in my chest like a lighthouse in amidst the storm. "Together," I said, but the word held more than just a promise. It was a vow, a nuclear bomb of truth, ready to obliterate the fears that had kept us shackled and kept our families trapped in the shadows of the past. As our grip tightened, the fragile letters in my pocket surged with warmth, and with a unified strength, we stepped boldly into the waiting darkness. Mark's figure loomed, growing small in my mind as we forged ahead, eyes glowing with undying determination. This is where we would stand and fight not just for ourselves, but for every unspoken sacrifice our families had borne uniting our histories. In that nexus of fate, I realized the fight wasn't merely external. The real victory lay in forgiving the past and reclaiming our future. And as we pressed forward into what lay ahead, I took a deep breath, a soft whisper escaping my lips, carrying my unwavering conviction into the winds of change. We are not just a product of our history. We are the authors of our own story. Together we would rise, illuminating the shadows, transforming darkness into something beautiful, a family forged through understanding, love, and truth. We would reclaim my family's legacy and dance with the shadows that had haunted us, ready to redefine our past as a fractured symphony of hope weaving through the air. In that moment, in the heart of the chaos, there was a stillness, a defined resolution that echoed through my very being, whispering, "We will be whole again."